TIL of Project 100,000. 25% of U.S. Army soldiers in the Vietnam were intentionally recruited misfits who couldn't read and write, had an IQ of below 75, or dropped out of high school. Some didn't even know the U.S. was at war. They had 3x the casualty rate of regular soldiers. Couldn't fit this in the title, but more info can be found in this informative lecture. https://www. youtube.com/watch v=_j2vwfdv4g, and this report, https://www. rand.org/content/dam/rand/pub/mg265/images/webg1318. PDF. U.S. Defense Secretary Robert McNamara believed this was a virtuous program, as it took these wards of the state off society's hands and allowed them to make something productive of their life. The program was a massive failure as these men, known colloquially as McNamara's morons, went AWOL or suffered from combat fatigue at astronomical rates, and special handlers had to be hired to follow them around and make sure they didn't wander into trouble. The rate of friendly fire was 5 times more common among these men than among general troops. Many were too incompetent to even fire a weapon, and most of the men recruited through this program ended up with jobs such as supply chain, kitchen patrol, or janitorial services. Unfortunately, many also saw combat, and they died in droves. Additionally, Forrest Gump was based off one of these men. For more information on little-known Vietnam War and other 1960s to 70s social movements, consult the 50 Years Ago Live Project, a Twitter program that reports events from exactly 50 years ago as if they're happening in real time. It is the first of its kind, and it is meant to stoke an interest in history by making it accessible to the everyday reader. https://twitter.com/50yearsagolive. We was always taking long walks, and we was always looking for a guy named Charlie. Christ, the Vietnam War becomes more tragic the more I learn about it. What a terrible part of history for all countries involved. Forrest Gump. I don't mean to sound crass, I just want to understand, does this qualify as sending intellectually disabled to war? Does low IQ mean something in particular? This is more widespread than we know. Several similar actions were taken in history. Down here in Argentina they placed the blacks in the front lines. While we had as much slaves as the rest of the continent, here their numbers declined until being less than 1% of the population. Cannon fodder and ethnic cleansing/eugenics. This shit was nuts. I took a class in college called Vietnam in the Movies thinking it would be a blow-off class. First movie was Forrest Gump and a lecture about this. And every week our prof would remind us of this in addition to the other material. That class was one of the best classes I ever took. A society that separates its scholars from its warriors will have its thinking done by cowards and its fighting done by fools. Thucydides. This quote always comes to mind when I hear about McNamara's morons. Even in ancient Greece they knew the mentally handicapped were a liability in battle. Edit, not Socrates, Tweededs. Man, Forrest Gump is one of the most accurate historical representations of its time, and I realize it more every day. Rehoboam. That program still exists today. It's called Marines. I went into Navy boot camp in 1991 in Chicago. After one guy mentioned it, I asked around our company and found more guys like him, guys who had gotten into trouble with the law and been given the option by a judge to join the military or go to prison. Don't let anyone fool you. Even when there isn't an official draft, there is always a draft going on, and the less privilege you have, the closer you are to falling into it. Gomer Pyle from Full Metal Jacket could have been inspired by this as well. It gives Forrest's and PVT. Pyle's service during Vietnam a new meaning. Forrest Gump was real. Lions Led by Donkeys did an episode on this. Was batshit how many dumb things had to be done to falsify paperwork and make sure these people passed basic training. When all else fails, like these people, forge the documents might as well have been its motto. McNamara wanted to make them smarter by showing them videos. Although that is a dumb idea, if it had succeeded they could train Navy SEALs on YouTube by now. Imagine all the elite commandos practicing Rixkwando. Completely unethical. Low IQ individuals should not be on the front lines of the military. I can't imagine a worse fucking idea than intellectually crippling military forces. Ah yes, the magic of eugenics at work. Also likely a real-life factor in birthing of the stereotypical crazy Vietnam veteran. The fucked up thing was that those who survived the war were then dishonorably discharged and found it even harder to get a normal job. Jesus. McNamara's morons. I think the DOD is still participating in this with some of the morons I work with /4, wait 25 years or so for it to be declassified. Reminds me of South Park. https://www. youtube.com/watch v=aqnebswdaxw https://www. youtube.com/watch v=aqnebswdaxw. This sounds eerily similar to Operation Get Behind the Darky. The program offered a one-way ticket to Vietnam, where these men fought and died in disproportionate numbers. The men of the Moron Corps provided the necessary cannon fodder to help evade the political horror of dropping student deferments or calling up the reserves, which were sanctuaries for the lily-white. Eugenics. The U.S. Army has conducted similar research since, and has led to the floor being an IQ of 83, and a preferred score of 92. The implications of this are quite staggering for society. Not even the Army, an institution built on militaristic dedication to singular, rote tasks, can find a use for people with an IQ of below 83. This is roughly *10% of the population. 10% of the population cannot reasonably function in society. We pretend they just need to pull themselves up by their bootstraps, but these people cannot even be used to flip burgers. Worse, this problem is compounding each year, as automation increasingly invalidates simple manual jobs. We are going to have to confront this reality at some point. I honestly think UBI is the only solution here. When a low IQ person cannot find a job, it is not a moral failing. They simply cannot contribute meaningfully. It's not their fault. When the rich wage war, it's the poor who die. So, you're telling me Forrest Gump was based on true events all the time? I volunteered for the Army on my birthday / they draft the white trash first, round here anyway. If you think that was bad, you should research what happened at Edgewood Arsenal. Eyes. The American military should have been criminally charged with a lot of shit they got away with. Imagine joining a war to defend French slavery, intentionally murder civilians using weapons that have caused lasting genetic defects, and using your own soldiers as sacrifices in a domestic eugenics program. Special Forces. Weren't these guys known as McNamara's morons? Repeat after me, the government cares about you. Keep repeating it until you believe it. Oh, you're already done? What a shame, but remember, IQ is not an accurate measure of anything and doesn't tell you anything about anyone. /S. You should really look into the secret war during the Vietnam War. It takes a really good look at how the Americans uses their allies only to leave them dead and fleeing for their life from genocide. My people are still running and fighting even after 40 years. I see most of Reddit doesn't know how utterly stupid a good portion of the people recruited into the military are. I've never seen so much dumb shit in my life while in the military. God, it was fun though. Why do they always send the poor? American eugenics. So basically they just followed regular military recruitment procedures. Forrest Gump? He seems to fit the criteria. What jobs can 75 IQ people do? That doesn't seem entirely ethical. McNamara's morons. Think of Forrest Gump. My name is Forrest Gump. The greatness of a nation can be judged by how it treats its weakest. /Hubert Humphrey. Fuck the USA government. I knew two guys who enlisted out of high school because they didn't want to go to college and didn't know what else to do. One made it back and went to college, the other died over there. I had to appear for my pre-induction physical. A written test was part of that pre-induction process. Some guys intentionally blew the test thinking they would be eliminated from being drafted. They were just made to take the test over again until they passed it. I decided to do the best I could on the written test, thinking that if I was drafted, and already on college deferment, and did well on the test, I might get sent to officer training instead. As luck would have it, the war was winding down by then and I never got my final greetings to appear. In was 22 by then, and then Army just wanted the young meat.